Okay. Okay, guys, I think there is some kind of a problem. Again, let's start with the video. I think there was the voice issue. I hope that the voice is now clear. Okay, so guys, let's start with the video, and in the video, we'll take the entire analysis and you can download this explainer PDF. Now, this explainer PDF contains all the notes of the articles that we are going to take up in the entire newspaper. The link for this particular PDF has been given in the Telegram. The PDF can be found into the Telegram, and the link has been given in the description box in the YouTube. Okay, now before starting up, first of all, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand that actually which articles are going to be important in the today's newspaper. Fine. So this is the page number 1, and the first article that we can see here, Imran Khan's assassination bid. Not important for the examination. Gujarat elections have been announced, again not important for our examination. Fine. Then guys, here the gold mushroom combo to ease the drug delivery. Now this particular article is actually an important article for the prelims examination as well as for the mains examination. We'll see this particular article. Okay. Now guys, here you can see that a photograph has come, and in the photograph there is some kind of an important information that has been given. So basically, these are the Garo tribal community, and these Garo tribal community perform the Wangla dance. Wangla dance. Now this Wangla dance is celebrated onto the occasion of, it has been celebrated onto the occasion of the Rising Sun Water Fest 2022 on the Umiam Lake in the Meghalaya. So just 2-3 things we can keep in our mind. Number one, there is the Garo tribes, and where the Garo tribes are found, the Garo the Garo tribes are there, and they have performed this particular dance, and the name of the dance is Wangla dance. So if a question comes that the tribes and their dance, so the Wangla dance belongs to the Garo tribe, okay, and they are found into the Meghalaya and the Umiam Lake. So sometimes the mapping questions also come where they give you certain water bodies, lakes, etc., and they ask that where they are found. So this is this lake, Umiam Lake, is in the Meghalaya. Okay. Then further moving on, after that guys, entry of trucks prohibited in Delhi as Delhi becomes the most polluted city. Fine. However, you don't need to track every day that what is the pollution levels and all such kind of things. Fine. Then further moving on in this particular direction, again in the state section, the regional politics, fine, political issues, etc., advertisements have been given, not important. Now this is the spotlight article here on the page number 4, and this particular article, is talking about the parole and the political pirocate. So basically here Dera Sacha Sauda's chief, okay, Gurmeet Ram, basically here the Dera Sacha Sauda's chief, okay, Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh Insan, fine, he has come out of on a parole, and the political leaders are coming to take his blessings, and all such things have been provided. Article is not important for the UPSC examination or other exam. Then the Metro Plus page, again not important for the examination. And then guys, in this particular direction we will be reaching, and therefore directly we will be reaching to the editorial page. Now before the editorial page, there is this sealed cover issue that has been mentioned. We'll see this particular article. Then after that, China's 20th Party Congress over the road ahead. So the Communist Party of China's and National Congress of the China, and recently it was held. So what has come out of that? We'll see that particular thing. Then after that, Vanathu's big plea does little to arrest the climate change. So this is the article which is talking about that what should be the priorities for the COP27. We'll see this particular article. Then heavy-handed hurry. So guys, this particular article is talking about recently what has happened onto the wire, basically wire. Basically there are some of the actions that have been done by the state government, by the government. Now the article is simply talking about that many a times the media houses which have spoken against the government or which have given the dissent on these media houses, often such kind of things have happened. Then the right and the worst. So this article talks about the Benjamin Netanyahu's return into the Israel. So the Israel election was there. Then how the political parties placed a month before the Gujarat assembly elections. So guys, this article, every day the Gujarat elections are being covered here. So not important for the examination, we can simply skip it. Then coming to the text and the context page. Now guys, here in this particular text and the context article today, so what are talking about? Here they are giving a kind of a map. For example, in this, they are telling about the urban population share in different states into the different districts. Okay, they are telling that, okay, average night light, okay, how much night light is there into the different parts of the countries, different parts of the state. So this is a kind of a graphic representations, number of people per hectare, etc., that has been given. Now the numbers and the data has not been given, just a graphic representation in terms of the color has been given. Okay, so just you can see it, but much of the data important for the examinations, the data which can be extracted, it's not there. Fine. Then coming to the text and the context page. Fine. So it is the in the Limelight article, and it is talking about the Adi Purush teaser. Okay, so the Adi Purush movie and all these things have been discussed. The article doesn't contain much of the substance for the UPSC examination. Then moving on after that, why announce poll date? So this is the entire page filled with the elections, etc., that has been announced. Not important things in this particular page, so we can simply skip it. India will insist on action clear framework at COP27. We'll see this article as what the India's priorities are going to be. Fine. Then guys, decline in the pre-primary enrollment continued in 2021-22. We'll see this article, a very important article with respect to the examination. Child welfare police officers are must in all police stations. Again, a very important article. Fine, with respect to the POCSO and the Juvenile Justice, basically JJA Act of 2015. We'll see this thing. Going beyond the Amur falcons. Okay, so basically the bird count is being carried into the Nagaland. We'll see that. Okay, then coming to the world page, so Netanyahu has secured the victory into the Israel's election. So after being in the opposition for so many months, he had again formed the government. Okay, Russia warns UK over the drone attacks. Okay, so basically guys, we find this particular thing that the Russia-Ukraine war is going on, and as this Russia-Ukraine war is going on, every day there are some statements which will be given by one or the other country. Okay, then the Italy's far-right PM Meloni to meet EU chiefs in Brussels. Not very much important article for our examination. So guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the IR page, okay, the international page or the world page, onto the page there will be the evolutionary details, fine, day-to-day comment, etc., that are being made, not important. But the foreign policy, okay, there is, if some issue which is having implication on India, that is important. Okay, coming to the business page, fine, the PMI signals uptick on the improved demand. Okay, so the purchasing managers index looks little bit good, and according to that there is a kind of a this is an encouraging signal that's there. Then the quarter profit of the HDFC, okay, etc. Fine, not very much important for the examination. These corporate trends, etc., you don't need to go too much in detail in that. Then further after that we have the sports page. Okay, so guys, that is all about the brief overview of the newspaper. So I give you the overview in for just one particular purpose, so that you can understand that actually which type of articles are to be seen, so that even if at your own you want to read the newspaper, let's say you don't want to watch the videos, if in the future, you can do it at your own also. So this is the objective of showing you the overview. Now let's start with the detailed discussion. And guys, in every class we take this GS quotations, and in this GS quotation what we do, we take one particular quotation which can be used in one of our paper, either GS paper number 1, 2, 3, 4, or into the essays. So today we'll take the quotation from Billy Graham. So Billy Graham says, when wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. And when character is lost, everything is lost. So the character is the most important thing. And one's character is formed by one's virtues. It is formed by one's value system. So the values are the most important thing for building the character. And the value inculcation is the most important thing. The value inculcation can be given by the family, educational institutions. So if we give the value inculcation, values build the character, and character builds the wealth. Fine. So this is an idea, and it can be used in the GS paper number 4 ethics. GS paper number 4 ethics and human interface. Directly this particular quotation can be used, as well as it can be used in the essays. Okay, and guys, before starting up, I would like to wish the good morning to everyone who had wished. So I will just take 30 seconds. So very good morning to Sandeep, Rajya Lakshmi, Akansha, Reet, Dipankar, Sunil, Disha, Santosh, Netrapal, Hardik, Naveen, Akashdeep again, Dipankar, Naveen, Discovery of Science, Metamai, Rajesh, Sandeep, Rajya Lakshmi, Anchal, Shelly, Jeevan, Gustavo, Trumurti, Ranjit, Rejo, Hemant, Chandrasekhar, Jhansi Rani, Shoe Club. Okay, there is one more name, Apan Toybe, Mangacha. Okay, sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Pavan, Nitin, Pallavi, Simi, NI3, Asithi, Avanti, Vijay, Siddhant, Shoe Club, Rohan, Shelly, Rohan, okay, Vinay, Anil, Nitin, Rohan, Marcos, Anand, Jeevan, Marcos, Kavya, Anil again, Himanshu Gupta, okay, something sociological, okay, Pavan again, Kalua, okay, Ibi, MD Films, Vinod, Venkatesh, okay, Chintu, Jemu, SKM, Diksha, Shakib, Madhu, Ankit. Good morning to everyone. Sorry if I missed somebody's name. Very good morning, and guys, thank you everyone for all of your lovely comments who have left the comment onto the video. Thank you very much. Now, starting up the first video, first article, a gold mushroom combo to ease the drug delivery. Now, this is a very important article, and the article will be important for the prelims examination directly. Okay, even in this prelims that we have, the 2022 prelims, on such kind of a line the question has been asked, as well as this particular question will be important for the GS paper number 3, science and technology missions. Fine. Now, the article talks about the gold mushroom combo to ease drug delivery. Now, what has happened? If we read directly the article, we might not be able to understand much that what is being talked about. So therefore, first of all, we'll be discussing some basics, and after those basics, we'll see that what exactly is this discovery all about. So basically, guys, there are the two things that I want to explain you first. First of all, we will be talking about the Cordyceps militaris. Now, what is this Cordyceps militaris in the most simple words? So, the Cordyceps militaris, it is a kind of a mushroom. It is also called as the super mushroom because its therapeutic and medicinal qualities. So, the Cordyceps militaris, it is high value fungus or mushroom, also called as a super mushroom. Now, this particular mushroom is found across the eastern Himalayan belt, and it has antimicrobial, anti-diabetic, antioxidant properties. So therefore, it can play a very important role in the bodies in countering the inflammation and all such kind of a things. See, this very year, the question onto the Gucci mushroom was asked. Okay, so such kind of a questions are asked from these type of articles only. Okay, so the Cordyceps militaris, it is a fungus, it is a mushroom. Fine. Now, apart from that, there is one more basic concept I want to explain. So there is the chrysotherapy or orotherapy. Now, what is chrysotherapy or orotherapy? It is the usage of the gold particles for the treatment. Okay, so there will be the very small particles of the gold that will be mixed with the medicines or medicinal salts, and they have some good impacts on the body. So basically, there are the gold salts. Now, what are these gold salts? Gold salts are compound of the golds, very small fragments of the gold, okay, and they are used into the medicine, and they actually show a lot of impact in reducing the inflammation into the body, which happens majorly after the infections and all such kind of a thing. It slows down the disease progression, so the disease onset into the body will be reduced down, and the patients with rheumatoid arthritis, in them the gold ions or the orotherapy plays very important role. Now, actually, what has happened, there is a new invention, a new discovery that has been done, and as a part of this new discovery, there are the Cordy gold nanoparticles that have been built. These Cordy gold nanoparticles, they are called as core AUNPS. Now, these nano gold particles, they will be playing a very important role. First of all, guys, what are the nanoparticles as we talk about? So nanoparticles, These are very, very small particles. Nanoparticles are the particles whose size will be between 1 to 100 nanometers. The size will be 1 to 100 nanometers, which is very much small. Now, because of this small size, they can penetrate deeper in the body, into the cells, into the tissues, and actually the drug delivery is very much effective. Many a times, the drug delivery is not very much effective because these particles are big, but the nanoparticles solve that particular problem. And it has been demonstrated that nanoparticles, because of their because of the broad surface area that they covers, they are very much effective. Now, what has been done? Basically a collaborative experiment has been done by the scientists. There are the 4 Indian institutions. The name of the Indian institutions I had given you: the Goa University, Bodoland University, National Institute of High Security Animal Disease, Bhopal, and the AVVM Shri Pushpam College. Now, the 4 of the scientists from these particular universities, they have done a collaboration and they have prepared these Cordy gold nanoparticles. And these Cordy gold nanoparticles, they have got a international patent from Germany also. Okay, so this is something they have done. Now, what these Cordy gold nanoparticles are going to do? So basically, it is a synthesis of this fungus and the gold particles. Now, understand this particular thing, that first of that they will make the drug delivery into the human body more faster and more surer. First of all, basically, when we talk about the cordyceps, it will act as a bioactive component. It will act as a bioactive component, which will aid in the recovery, which will aid in preventing the disease, and because of the gold, the penetration into the cell will be better. Okay, the penetration into the body will be better. So basically, both the cordyceps and the gold will play their distinct role. The cordyceps, they are the bioactive ingredients which will reduce the inflammation, which will reduce the diabetic stress, and the gold will help in the penetration. So basically, these components can be added into the medicine and the medicine will become more effective. So basically, now the medicines which are there, they might have the traces of this ultra microscopic gold power super mushroom, and by adding them, there will be the greater efficacy of the existing medicines. Is it clear or not? So guys, it is not a new medicine that has been discovered. Basically, this Cordy gold nanoparticles, Cordy, again I'll highlight. First of all, I'll erase it and then I'll highlight it. Okay, so now what will happen? These Cordy gold nanoparticles can be put into the drugs and they will help in better drug delivery by 2 ways. Fine, cordyceps will give a kind of a bioactivity and the gold particles will help in the better penetration. So this is a discovery that has happened. I hope that you have understood this particular development. Okay, now moving on. The next article, okay, the next article, it talks about the it talks about the Toku among bird count that is being started into the Nagaland. Before going in this particular article, first of all, let's discuss what the heading says, let's discuss what the utility of the article is, and then we'll go in deep. So, going beyond Amur falcons, Nagaland to celebrate avian diversity undertakes census. Now, this particular article highly important for the prelims examination. Very important for the prelims examination. Such questions have been asked in multiple times. Secondly, this particular article will also be important in GS paper number 3, environment, ecology and the conservation. Now, first of all, before going in this particular article, guys, I want to give you a case study. Just one additional case study I want to give you. See, when we talk about the Amur falcons, okay, Amur falcons are the migratory birds. They come from the Siberia region. They make a stop into the Nagaland, and then from India they go towards the Africa. Okay. Now these Amur falcons, these birds have been given the status of least concerned on the IUCN red list, and actually there is a case study that by 2012 these Amur falcon birds were killed in large numbers in the Nagaland. Okay, and every day up to 1 lakh Amur falcon birds were being killed for the meat purpose and all such kind of a things. But after that, a kind of a campaign got started into the Nagaland, and today the Amur falcon birds are being preserved there. Okay, not even a single Amur falcon bird is being killed there. So basically, this is a very good example as how the environmental ethics have been learned by the people of Nagaland. Okay, earlier the bird was being hunted, but now the bird is being preserved. A very important example of environmental ethics inculcation, one thing. Now, so basically, now what is this development? So basically, in the Nagaland, the Toku Imong bird count is going to be started in the Nagaland. Now, this particular bird count will be timed with the Toku Imong festival. Now, Toku Imong festival is observed into the Nagaland by the Naga community. Within the Naga community, there is a sub-community, that is the Lothas. So, the Lothas of the Naga community celebrate this Toku Imong festival. This is a festival to mark the end of the harvest season. Okay, it means a great feast. So, at this particular festival, around this festival, this Imong bird count will also be carried. Now, what will happen in this particular bird count? There will be an exercise where the birds will be observed into the Nagaland, and their names, their photographs, etc. will be uploaded on this particular website, that is the www.ebird.org. Now, this particular Teku Imong bird count, it is the event which is being taken up by the Vokha Forest Division. Vokha is a district in Nagaland. So, Vokha Forest Division, fine, the Divisional Management Unit of Nagaland Forest Management and the Bird Count India, they all are conducting this particular Toku Imong bird count. Now, there are some additional informations that we have given. So, basically, when we talk about the Nagaland, it is the most preferred location for the Amur falcon, which is a migratory bird species which come from the Siberia region. They come to the Asia, they stop into the Nagaland in India, and they go then towards the southern Africa. Now, the Amur falcon has put the Nagaland onto the world birding map. Now, what is the world birding map? Okay, so basically the birds, they take a particular route, and on that particular route, wherever they stay, where they stop, those locations come onto the world birding map. So it has put onto the world of, it has put Nagaland onto that. Now, these Amur falcons, they have been classified as least concern onto the IUCN. Now, when we talk about the Nagaland state in general, now this particular state has diverse festivals, it has a lot of birds there, and therefore the TEBC, that is the bird count that is being started, this is a kind of a initiative where the community will be encouraged to celebrate the birds, the bird festivals and collective living of the birds and the humans. Now, with this particular kind of an exercises, people can connect with the nature, can help in documenting the avifauna. Avifauna matlab means bird diversity. Okay, so much of the bird diversity is still to be explored. Okay, and here if the community participation can be done, it can play a very important role. And this Toku Imong bird count is very important because when we talk about the northeast, there is the richest bird diversity, and many a times this rich bird diversity is threatened by the habitat loss, by the hunting. As I told you that Amur falcons were being hunted, now that thing has come substantially down. So these particular activities play a very important role. So a lot of content for the prelims examination as well as the mains examination has been there. So that is all guys about this particular article, and now we will be moving to the next article. Okay, child welfare police officers a must in all the police stations. Okay, now before going in this particular article, first of all, let's take where this article is going to be important. This article is going to be important in GS paper number 2, vulnerable sections of society, and within the vulnerable sections of the society, the children related issues. This article will be important. Now, before going in the article guys, I would like to give you some of the basic information. See, whenever we talk about the children are particularly more vulnerable than the other people because of the certain reasons. Reason number one, that the children, they always have low bargaining power. They have low bargaining power because of the two reasons, because of the low physical strength and because of the cognitive limitation. Cognitive limitation means that sometimes they don't know about the wrong things that have happened to them. Okay, Fine. So cognitive limitations are there, mental limitations are there. Okay. Second thing is that the children, they have the special needs. They have the special needs of care, special needs of education. So therefore, many number of times they are more vulnerable. These special needs, if they are not met, they will become vulnerable. Fine. Then guys, often the children's, understand, this is a very, very important point. Often the parents' vulnerabilities, they exacerbate the children's vulnerability, they increase the children's vulnerability. If the parents are socially or economically downtrodden, then their children's vulnerability will automatically enhance. So therefore, the children are particularly more vulnerable. And for this particular thing, we need to have special rights, we need to have special enforcement officers, police officers for protection of the children in India. Okay. Moreover, India has signed the international convention for the protection of the child rights. Okay. For that particular thing also, we have provided that we will be taking special steps for the protection of the children. Okay. Now guys, under this particular thing, what we have done to protect the children and to give them special attention, already the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015 has provided that at least one officer at the rank of the assistant sub inspector, ASI level of officer, should be designated as an officer for the should be designated as a child welfare police officer. So he will be dealing into the cases where the children are either the victim of some crime or where the children themselves have done the crime. So dealing with the children, there will be one officer who will be the child welfare police officer. Okay, that is provided. Now guys, up till now, this particular provision that in every police station this child welfare police officer is there, it has not been implemented, and therefore National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, NCPCR, has picked up this particular matter and had highlighted to the Ministry of Home Affairs that this particular provision has not been implemented up till now. Moreover, the NCPCR has provided that first of all, there needs to be a special juvenile police unit in each district and each city. Not only one officer, entire unit, juvenile police unit needs to be there in each district, and this particular unit should be headed by the officer who is at the rank of a deputy superintendent of police, so at the level of DSP. Then it has been provided that within this particular unit there will be child welfare police officer and at least 2 social workers will be there who have the experience of working in the field of child welfare. Okay, and one of the social worker out of these 2 needs to be the women, and they will be coordinating with the police as how the children, basically they will be coordinating the relation between the police, the children, and will be sensitize the police that how they will deal with the children. Okay, then the next thing is that the information, mobile numbers, their contact information of the child welfare police officers need to be displayed in all the police stations so the public can contact them easily, they can know them. Now all these particular recommendations, the Ministry of Home Affairs had acted on it, and now the Ministry of Home Affairs have provided that all the states. Okay, now understand, I told you earlier also that when we talk about the police is a state subject, so it means that the state governments will take action on that. So now the Ministry of Home Affairs has asked the states and the union territories that they should appoint a child welfare protection officer in every police station which will exclusively dealing with the child related issues. Now over the past past few years, we have observed that particularly the crimes against the child, for example the sexual abuse of the children, the matters of the child labor, etc., have increased. Particularly sexual abuse of the children has increased. So under the POCSO Act, now the POCSO Act 2012, it is a special legislation. 2012, it is a special legislation which protects the children who have been sexually harassed. So under the POCSO Act, more crimes are now coming. So therefore we need to have these special officers who will be dealing with the children related matters. Okay, so this is guys all about this particular article along with the entire background that has been there. I hope that you have understood this entire issue. Okay, now we'll be moving in the next article. Okay, so guys, the next article, decline in the pre-primary enrollments continued in 2021-2022 says government report. Now what this particular article is all about, guys, this article, it is talking about a recent report that has been released, and the name of the report is Unified District information system for education plus report on school education. Okay, in the short, this report is called as the UDISE plus. Now you might have heard this particular name also. Now this particular article, guys, will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, issues of education, GS paper number 2, issues of education. Now before going in this particular article, guys, I want to tell you some of a background. So basically what happened, the COVID-19 pandemic had led a lot of impact on the children. Okay, and because of this particular thing, first of all, the education has impacted the most, and it has been provided that there are the learning poverty that has been developed in India. Now what is the learning poverty? It simply means that the children, either they have dropped out of the schools, so they are getting this learning poverty, or the second thing is that the children who were earlier in the schools, now who are there into the schools, now they have forgotten the concepts that they have learned earlier. Okay, so this particular thing is bringing the learning poverty. Now to measure the learning poverty, to measure the learning gaps, this report has been released. Okay, so the name of the report, again I'll repeat, the name of the report is Unified District Information System for Education Plus report. And who releases this particular report? The report is released by the Ministry of Education. Okay, so basically these particular things are important for the prelims examination, because such kind of a questions on the reports every year, 1 or 2 questions are now coming. Okay, now basically, guys, they have given some of the datas. Now you see this thing, the data in absolute number is not something which is very much important, but these particular datas, if you have some broad idea about that, you can use it in your answers related to education. Because when the education related questions, for example, are coming, if you are not putting the data, you will not be able to authenticate whatever arguments you are giving. So basically what the report has provided, number one, it has provided that because now after the pandemic, we find this particular thing, that number of children entering the pre-primary classes, they have seen a decline of 30% compared to the pre-COVID level. Now we can just see here. So basically, guys, here we see the pre-primary classes. So the red one, fine, so red one is the pre-primary classes. So if we see right now, just a minute, so if we see 0.95, okay, 0.95 crore, okay, or 95 lakh students are there who got enrolled into the pre-primary schools. This is between 2021-2022. If we see before the pandemic, that is 2022, it was around 1.4 crore students who entered into the pre-primary education. So from 1.4 we have declined to 0.95 crore. So approximately a 30% decline has been observed in the students entering into the pre-primary education. 30% decline. Who says this thing? This is provided by the UDISE plus report. You just don't remember the full form, just remember the UDISE plus report. Now this is very significant in terms of its impact. Why? Let us give you some of the value addition. According to the United Nations Population Fund, according to the United Nations Population Fund, it is written as UNFPA. According to UNFPA, it's provided that 2020 to 2040, India is seeing the golden window of demographic dividend. In this golden window, India will have the distinct economic advantage because we will have the youngest population in the world. Even today, the average age of India is around 28 years. Now, because we have youngest population, this population can contribute into the economic activity. Okay, that is one thing. But on another hand, understand this particular thing. Only having population is not going to solve the problem. You need to have the skilled population, population who had some higher order vocations, the population that is educated. Now, if the education is not there, we might not be able to get the skilled population, and therefore they might not be able to contribute in economic activity, and we will turn this demographic dividend into demographic disaster. Okay, so therefore education is very important in this particular direction, but here there is a decline in education that is going on as per the UDISE plus report. Then second thing that they have provided, that the enrollment in primary classes. Now the primary classes, it includes the class 1 to 5th. So in the primary 1 to 5 classes also there is a decline for the first time that has been seen. Okay, that has been seen. It provides that the children had fallen from 12.20 lakh to 12.18 lakh. Is it clear or not? So there is a decline that has been seen even into the pre-primary education. Okay, a primary education, sorry, primary education class 1 to 5th. There is also a decline. You don't need to remember the exact data, just you can remember that 30% decline is there into the pre-primary. However, in the total number, there is actually an increase that have been provided. It's provided that actually, when we talk about the total number of students across, see, we have pre-primary, then we have primary, then we have upper primary, secondary, higher secondary. So in the total number, the children have been increased to 25.57 crore, which is an improvement of 19 lakh. So in total, there is a improvement. How, where we can see improvement? For example, from here 6.4 to 6.6.8, 3.8 to 3.85, 2.6 to 2.86. So in total number there is an increase. Okay, but into the pre-primary there is a kind of a decline that has been there. So this is a mixed report. Now guys, these are very important. Why? See, even if you are saying that okay, there is some problem, then you can reuse the report. If you want to show the improvement, there also you can use this particular report. Then the very problematic thing and very concerning things according to the UDISC plus report is that there is also large number of school closure that have happened. Now the school closure have happened because of the lack of teachers as well as because of the other factors also. So there are the drop of 20,000 schools in India. Right now, we earlier had around 15.09 lakh schools. From there, we reached to 14.89 lakh schools. Okay, so this is guys actually a data which you should remember otherwise also. So approximately 15 lakh schools we have in India, and the schools closures are also going down, which is very much problematic. Then they have also provided that actually the number of teachers have also declined in the post-pandemic era. So there are 1.98% fewer teachers. Fine. So basically, when we talk about the number of teachers that are there into the schools, their number stands at around 96.96 lakh in 2020-2021, and from there it got declined to around 95. Okay. So you don't need to remember the exact data. This is the range of the teachers that we are having in India, and there also a little bit decline of around 2% has happened. Okay, but there is the improvement also that's provided. And when we talk about the improvement is with respect to the availability of the computers into the school. Now basically with the COVID-19, what has happened, the online education, e-learning, etc. has become a norm, and because of this particular thing, computer facilities actually increased into the schools. Now basically here it has been provided that the computer availability is there into the 44.75% schools, while internet is there in around 33.9 or 34% of the schools, and this has improved. Earlier there was 38.5% school, 38.5% of the schools had the computer. So this 38.5% increased to around 44.75%. So improvement. And internet, earlier 22.3% schools had internet, and now 33.9% schools have internet. So on internet and computer availability into the school, there is an improvement that has happened. Okay, so just understand this particular thing, guys. Again, I'm telling you, and I've told you 2-3 times also, that absolute numbers not very much needed, but just you can draw the broad trends that what increased, what decreased, and give the reference, that the reference is UDISE plus report released by the Ministry of Education. And as the report has been released by the government itself, it is going to be the most authentic report. Okay, now moving to the next article. Okay, Vanuatu's big plea does little to arrest the climate change. So this particular article will be important for the GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, environment and ecology. Environment and ecology. Okay. Now, basically, guys. Okay. Basically, guys, what's happening? The COP27 Conference of Parties 27 is going to be held in the Egypt. Okay. It is going to be held in the Egypt, and as it is going to be held in the Egypt, there are certain priorities, certain key areas where we have to focus upon. Is it clear or not? So this particular article is largely talking about the COP27, and within the COP27, Okay, just a minute. COP27, and within the COP27, what are the key concerns that have come? Now, basically, so this particular COP27 will be held between 6th to 18th of the November 2022 in the Egypt. And the article is talking about that here the climate change mitigation might not be discussed. Actually, what's the issue? Right now there is the energy stress that is going on in the Europe, and because of this energy stress going on in the Europe, we might not discuss onto the climate change mitigation. Now you see this particular thing. Right now the Russia-Ukraine crisis is going on, and as the Russia-Ukraine crisis is going on, what has happened? There are multiple implications that had come. First of all, guys, the Russia was the biggest supplier of the natural gas to the Europe, and by the Nord Stream 1 and the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, the large gas was being provided. Basically Nord Stream 2 has to just start. Okay, it has to start. Nord Stream was going on from earlier, so they provide the natural gas. Now because of the Russia Ukraine war, the Europe is not taking the gas from Russia, and even the Russia is not providing. Now understand this thing, that actually natural gas is the transitional energy. What is the transitional energy? See this particular thing. For example, there is a coal. After the coal there will be the natural gas, and then there will be the renewable energies that will be there. So from coal the natural gas transition will happen, and from natural gas the transition to renewable energies will happen. It makes much of a sense for the countries. Now as the natural gas is not coming from the Russia, the European countries are again falling back onto the coal, and because of that particular thing, even the coal's prices have increased, coal's consumption has increased. So there is the energy stress that is going on, and because of that the focus on renewable energies, climate change mitigation, etc. might not be discussed. Now in this particular direction, guys, the Vantu had made a special plea. Now what is Vantu? Understand this thing. So basically, guys, this is the Pacific Ocean. Here there is Australia. Okay, now within the Pacific Ocean there is a small island nation, and this small island nation is called as Vanuatu. Now the Vanuatu had made this particular petition that we should adopt a universal non-proliferation treaty to ban the use of the fossil fuels across the world. Now you see this thing. These island nations are the most vulnerable to the climate change. If the climate change will happen, the global sea level rise will happen, and because of that particular global sea level rise, these islands will get submerged. So the Vanuatu had provided that we need to impose the non-proliferation treaty, global ban on the use of the fossil fuels. Now you see this particular thing, that actually this would not have been heard a lot, because when we talk about the Vanuatu's own contribution to global energy supplies as well as its emission, it is negligible, very less. So therefore this particular country would not have given much of an importance. But actually the Vanuatu represents the group of the small island developing states. Small island developing states, SIDS. It is a group which represents the islands such as the Vanuatu, Micronesia, okay, fine, all these kind of countries. So they have collectively put forward this particular thing, okay, and then they have asked the United Nation. Within the United Nation, they have asked that please accept us, and there is a kind of an empathy against these particular countries, and therefore it might be taken up. Now when we talk about the Vanuatu, its plea comes in the background of the coal phase out demands that have been made. Understand this particular thing. Last year 2021 there was the COP26 that was held into the Glasgow, and in the COP26 there was this particular slogan, the slogan of coal phase out, that became very much popular. It is provided that the countries need to give a deadline after which the coal will not be used. Now here what has happened, India has specifically put forward their viewpoint, and they have said that we need to actually dilute it. We need to move from coal phase out to coal phase down. We cannot simply avoid using the coal, because right now we are so much dependent onto the coal energy. India also provided this particular thing, that the phase out is actually unfair because the countries are heavily dependent on them. in this particular direction, the alliance of small island states, they actually are now taking that the fossil fuel elimination is now to be carried, and the national climate plan at the COP27 that will be prepared. In this national climate plan, there should be a very clear target of completely removing this particular coal consumption that is going on. Okay, this is the issue. Now guys, it will have a lot implications on the India. Why it will have a lot of implications on the India? It is because of this particular thing, guys, that India is very dependent onto the coal. If I give you the data, as per the Ministry of the Power, around 51% of the India's energy comes from the coal. So India will have a lot of impact if this particular complete ban, etc., will be asked. Now understand this particular thing. Now, I told you that the Vanuatu had made this particular plea to the United Nations. So, first of all, the United Nations has a very different mandate. Okay, the UN mandate on this nature is divorced from the legal responsibility of the polluting country on the basis of the responsibility, capability and national circumstances. Now, you see this thing. When we talk about the climate change convention, when we talk about the COPs that are being held, in the COPs, legal binding agreement can be imposed, but into the United Nations, what they can do, they can just ask the countries. Okay. Now, when we talk about the coal phase down, it is not possible for India because number one, in India, the coal forms the basic component of our energy system. Second thing, guys, understand this particular thing, that as we are talking about the climate change conferences, there is the principle of CBDR, that is the common but differentiated responsibilities. Now this is a principle that has been followed. It simply means that stopping the the climate change that is happening, we need to stop it. It is a common responsibility, but it is at the same time a differentiated responsibility. It means the rich countries will do more, but the developing countries, emerging countries such as the India, they don't have that big responsibilities that the rich countries are having. So there is the common but a differentiated responsibility. So therefore, India's argument that comes that when the coal is to be removed, first the developed country should remove it, and then the developing country will be coming on that. So developing country for the meanwhile will follow the phase down and not the phase out. Is it clear or not? Fine. That is something that has been provided. Now guys, understand this particular thing. When we talk about the emissions, fine, actually the emissions are also being emitted because of the consumption, because of the lavish lifestyles, etc., that we are leading. It has actually been provided that if we just simply remove the coal, it might create unsurmountable difficulties. A lot of problems for the developing economies will be created. Moreover, understand this particular thing, that today when we talk about the developed countries, they have access to alternative sources of energy, they have the technologies, they have the money that they can go for the transition, but India doesn't have that particular capacity right now. So in this particular direction, rather than just focusing onto the coal, we need to focus on the that is the lifestyle for environment movement that has been started by the India recently. Now the lifestyle for environment movement, life movement, focuses on the consumption part. It asks the consumers that they need to be responsible. The consumers should not go for the madless consumption, because that particular thing also increases the emissions. It talks about the circular economy. Where a thing will be produced, it will be used, then it will be reused, then it will be recycled, then it might be refurbished, and again it will be entered into the use. So the circular economy will be different from the linear economy. Linear economy is that where one particular thing is being used, it is being discarded. That's it. So basically the life movement focuses on the circular economic pattern. It talks about the responsible consumption. It talks about to be the consumers who are enlightened. It asks that particular thing. So this is something which can help in actually reducing the carbon emission. So this is something that we need to focus upon. Clear? So that is, guys, moreover it has also been provided that as this COP27 is going to be held, India should focus on one very important dimension, that is the asking clarity from the from the developed countries about the climate finance, climate technology and transfers. Now see this particular thing. What happened? The developed countries into the past has promised this particular thing, that the $100 billion every year annually will be given to the developing country by 2000, was to be given the developing, sorry, $100 billion annually has been promised to the developing countries since 2008. Okay, but up till now this $100 billion have not come. Fine, the deadlines have been successively increased. It came to 2020. Now it is being said that by 2025 this $100 billion will be coming. Now this particular climate finance is very much important for these particular countries. Moreover, this $100 billion even represents a kind of a, see, it is not going to solve the problem. Now we need it even more. But even this $100 billion has not come. So India will ask that give this particular money immediately, and not only the money, the technology, the clean energies also are needed to be provided. So this is something that India will be focusing on, this COP27 that is going to get started from the November 6th, that is day after tomorrow. Okay, now guys, as the COP27 will go, we will see all the key takeaways that are coming in this particular direction. So please be very careful. You should be regular during these particular days if you want to follow this COP27 and the related developments that are going on. Now moving to the next article. China's 20th Party Congress over, the road ahead. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues of neighborhood. When we talk about the neighbor, China happens to be one of a very big neighbor of India, biggest neighbor in fact of India. So therefore now we will see these developments that are happening in China. Okay, now before going in the article, first of all let's read some of the basic things. First of all, what has happened recently, 20th National Congress was organized. Now when we talk about the 20th National Congress, it is the session which is held every 5 years, and this particular session will be adopting the agenda for the next 5 years. Okay, so till 2027 the agenda, as what China will be focusing upon, what China's will be the priorities, what economic policies it will be taking, all these things have been finalized into the National Congress which has been held. It was the 20th National Congress. Now this particular National Congress also appoints some very high powered body also. For example, Central Committee will be appointed by the members of this National Committee. It will be appointing the Politburo. By the way, we have discussed all these bodies, Central Committee, Politburo, into the past in much detail. Okay, so Politburo will be appointed, then the Politburo will be selecting the, just a minute, I'll use a different color pen. Politburo will select the Politburo Standing Committee. These are the most high power bodies of the China which deals, which controls the military, which controls their parliament, plays a very important role in the policy formation, etc. So now, just a minute, I think it's visible. Yes. So now the 20th National Congress has been over. It has been over, and it has even selected the Central Committee. Okay. Now, moreover, what has happened? The Xi Jinping has been chosen as the president for the third term. And the Li Qiang has been will now be selected as the prime minister. So earlier the prime minister was Li Keqiang. Okay, so the Li Keqiang has been dropped, and in the place of Li Keqiang, Li Qiang will be going to take over as the prime minister of China. Now there are the important outcomes of this National Congress, fine, which has been there. Now what are the important outcomes of this National Congress? Number one, Mr. Xi Jinping's the core status has been reinforced. Now understand this particular thing. Earlier in 2017, when the 19th National Congress was there, at that point of a time, in the American Constitution, in the Chinese Constitution, apart from the Mao Zedong and Deng Xiaoping, even the Xi Jinping's role has been added. Now see, with the Xi Jinping, there are the three core leaders of the China: Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping. Now the Deng Xiaoping was the one who was instrumental in bringing the open door policy of the China, which was the China's LPG reforms. So Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping and the Xi Jinping, these are the three core leaders. It okay, and the state and this core status leader has been reinforced again in this 2022 National Congress that has been held. Moreover, the Xi Jinping's ideology or the philosophy has become the part of the Chinese constitution. Now, when we talk about the Xi Jinping's philosophy, it is called as the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. Socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. Now, this is the Xi Jinping's philosophy and it got added in constitution. Now, what this philosophy means? It focuses on certain things. Number one, people-centered development philosophy. The development which will help the masses, help the people, particularly the people of China. Remaining committed to deepening reform and opening up. Okay, opening up the economy more, reforming the economy, reforming the state institutions, carrying forward the fighting spirit, okay. So this is something which is the philosophy of Xi Jinping, which became the part of the Chinese constitution. Now understand this particular thing, that as we talk about the third tenure of the Xi Jinping that has been started, in this particular thing the Xi Jinping is going to focus more on the aspects of the governance. Okay, now understand, earlier the Xi Jinping used to give a tagline, that is the community of a common destiny, Earlier the Xi Jinping said that all the world has a common destiny, and that common destiny is prosperity, that common destiny is poverty eradication, hunger eradication, and we, the entire world, are the community which is going towards that common destiny. This was the earlier focus of the Xi Jinping, but now this has been replaced. Why? Because right now there is a divide between the world that has come. On one hand there is the China, which is being supported by Russia, and on the other hand the Western world, the Quad members, etc., they are there. So right now the China sees that the world has been divided and there is an anti-China incitement that is going on. There are the attempts to overthrow the communist regimes, etc. So this philosophy has been replaced. Okay, now guys, understand this particular thing. Now the Xi Jinping is focusing on ideological coherence and internal discipline within the China. Now you see this particular thing. You might be knowing the 1991, there was the collapse of the USSR. Why the USSR got collapsed? Because of the deep corruption that was there into the system. Because the USSR was not able to reform and was not able to compete with the Western world. Now the Xi Jinping doesn't want that there should be the Soviet style collapse of the China should happen, and therefore they don't want to have an ideological laxity. They should not be relaxed on ideology, they should not be very much relaxed onto the corruption. There are the divisions within the Communist Party of China. They don't want to make sure that thing leads to the collapse of China. So therefore the internal discipline and the coherence, the reform within the China is very important thing for the Xi Jinping in this third tenure that he had started. Then next, understand this particular thing. In the realm of the geopolitics, the Congress declared that the objective is to reduce the authority and the power of the United States. United States is a logical challenge to the China, and they want to reduce that USA's power. Then next, China says this particular thing, it provides that China was being deliberately denied accessibility for the technological imports. Now I just want to use one particular word here: decoupling. Now decoupling, it is a movement that is being driven by the America, where America wants to detach with the China. And in this particular thing, many technologies in which the America has a mastery, these technologies are not being provided to the China. This is the belief of the China that is there. Now guys, moreover, the China now, it has declared into the 20th National Congress that the China will become a modern socialist state by 2035. It will become a modern socialist power by 2035. They will increase their per capita income to the middle income levels, will modernize the armed forces, and by 2049. Now the 1949 was the Independence Day for the China. It is the anniversary of the China. By 2049, when there will be the 100th anniversary of the China, then they will become the developed countries, fine, they will have the biggest composite national strength and international influence. Okay, now understand this particular thing, what we can learn from all these particular things. First of all, China is focused on consolidating the power and authority. Now there is always a kind of a belief that the China is going to increase, is going to flex its muscles. Flexing the muscles means China will show the power, but China is not going to show the power immediately as per the article. The article says that the China want to get the status of the superpower by 2049. So therefore, before the 2049, China will not invite any actions, will not create so much of controversies, because then the challenge to China will be given. So China is unlikely to take any premature steps such as the taking over the Taiwan. Now see, China maintains the one China principle, and as per this one China principle policy, China says Taiwan is not an independent country, rather the Taiwan is the part of China. Okay, so as a part of this, China wants to take over the Taiwan, but the article says that it will not do this thing now. Why? Because by this particular thing, there will be the conflict with the USA that will be created, conflict with the rest of the world that will be created, and then they will challenge the China. They will not let China be the superpower by 2049. Then the second thing that is being talked about here is that today the China's economy is the biggest concern for them, and China is focusing that how they can get the access, okay, how they can get access to the technologies, to the semiconductors, all these kind of things. So their focus will be more on this particular thing. Then it has been provided that the China, okay, then it has been provided that the China is going to have a kind attitude towards the rest of the world, including India and Japan. China will avoid the confrontation. See, there will be the skirmishes, there will be the disputes, episodic disputes that might happen. For example, the Galwan Valley episode that happened. Fine. Now India has the thousands of kilometers of boundary. So these disputes will happen, but China will not go to the open conflict, because if the open conflict will be there, then guys, the regional countries, for example, India will openly challenge the China. And if they will openly challenge the China, then what will happen? China might not be able to become the regional power, and after the regional power, the superpower. Okay, so China will not take much of, it will not pick up much of the confrontations with nearby countries. That is something that has been provided. Okay, so guys, this is the entire issue, and we have discussed this particular entire issue, okay, in multiple dimensions. And actually, if you have seen this particular discussion, I hope that you have got the entire idea what China is going to do in the next coming decade. And I'll advise you, if needed, watch it again once. But very, very important article. Make sure you pick up all the points. Now going to the next article. Okay, RISAT-2 satellite makes re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so with respect to the prelims examination, we'll see this particular article. Okay, now guys, basically what has happened, RISAT-2. Now little bit of the background of the RISAT-2, and then we'll go in this particular article. So RISAT-2, it is the India's first satellite with the synthetic aperture radar, and by this synthetic aperture radar, it can process the day and night as well as all weather monitoring. It can do the day monitoring, night monitoring, all weather monitoring, even into the cloudy season also it can do the monitoring. Now why this particular satellite is important? See, you might be knowing already the Mumbai terror attacks that happened. Now the Mumbai terror attacks, they happened because there was a hostile ship that came from the Pakistan to the India. Now that particular ship was not tracked, and therefore it has been said that there was a kind of an intelligence gap that was there. So therefore, to monitor the waters around the India, to monitor such hostile ships if they are coming into the future, we need a kind of a satellite which will do this particular thing. So the application of this particular satellite is to track the hostile ships who can be a military threat to India. So this is something that has been done. So basically guys, some of the media houses has also said this particular thing, that the RISAT-2 is the satellite which will do the spy work for India. Now when we talk about the RISAT satellite 2, guys, little bit more detail. This particular satellite was launched in 2009, and now what has happened, this particular satellite has made an uncontrolled re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Uncontrolled, it means that the satellite went out of control. Now first of all guys, even this re-entry that has happened now, fine, it is very, so now see, it actually, just I want to tell you this particular thing, that this RISET 2, it was a 300 kg satellite, fine, and this particular satellite actually was made, this particular satellite was actually made to operate for, just a minute, yes, this particular RISET 2 satellite, it has the designed life of around 4 years, designed life of around 4 years, that is 2009 to 2013, but actually this particular satellite had worked for 13 years. Now this is a kind of an achievement for India. Satellite meant for 4 years but worked for 13 years. Now guys, it has been provided that when we talk about this particular satellite, due to proper maintenance of orbit, due to proper mission planning, and due to economical usage of the fuel, has functioned for 13 years, and now after 13 years it again made a re-entry into the earth. This particular re-entry was not properly controlled, and therefore this particular satellite has been burnt completely into the atmosphere. Up till now no remnants have fallen on the ground. So you know this particular thing, that when an entity enters into the earth's atmosphere, because of the frictional heat it gets burnt up. So because of the frictional heat, this RISET 2 satellite has been burnt into the atmosphere only. Is it clear or not? So therefore it has been provided that fine. So it has been provided, for example, that the predicted impact point in the Indian Ocean was there, okay, but actually what has happened, the studies have confirmed that the pieces generated due to aerothermal fragmentation would not have survived the re-entry heating, and hence no fragments would have impacted on the earth. So on earth the fragment has not come. Okay, now understand this particular thing, whatever we have discussed here, that is more than sufficient for your examination. So this uncontrolled re-entry was there, because of which this satellite got burned, and this was the purpose for this particular satellite, for the military supervision of the hostile ships and such kind of vessels. Now moving to the next article. Okay, now basically media one ban case, Supreme Court questions center over the sealed cover. Fine. Now basically guys, what is this particular sealed cover that has come in the news? Basically understand this particular thing. Suppose there is a case that is going on. Now the party A, the party B. Now the party B is, let's say, the accused. Party C is, let's say, the accused. Now the case is going on and the judges are hearing this particular case. Now what can be the case? The prosecuting lawyer will present to the judges the proof that actually Mr. B has committed a crime. Now understand this particular thing guys, that whenever the evidences are being provided, these evidences are also to be given to the judge, to the lawyer of accused person also, so that this particular accused person's lawyer can prepare for the defense. If the accused person's lawyer will not be given these particular documents, then guys they cannot prepare for the defense, and it will impact the right to free trial. So giving them also the access to evidence, the document, it is a prerequisite. But guys, sometimes what happens, sometimes the judges, they are given the documents or evidence in the sealed cover. They are given the documents or the evidence into the sealed cover. Sometimes the matters might be such where the prosecuting lawyer will say that if we give them access to that accused's lawyer, then they might impact the investigation process. So that is something that happens. Okay. Now guys, actually what happened, there was a news channel by the name of the Media One. Now on this Media One, there was a ban that was imposed on airing the content few months back. Fine, so it was restricted in airing the content. Now actually what happened, the Media One reached to the Kerala High Court first, and then now it has reached to the Supreme Court. So basically the government has provided that the ban on airing was imposed on the Media One earlier, because the Media One has aired their content which had some implication onto the national security. The Supreme Court asked the government that okay, you show us the proof, that what proof you have that it was impacting the national security. So the documentary evidence that has been given, it has been given in the sealed cover. Now earlier guys also this sealed cover evidence was given, and then the government said very clearly that please don't give the evidence into the sealed cover because it will impact the accused person's right to fair trial. Is it clear or not? So this is something that the question has asked to the government. Okay, now basically guys, beyond this, the article is just telling the commentary which is going on within the courthouse, that okay, this was said by the judge, then the advocate, basically what are the different advocates have said. Okay, so this particular thing has been provided. Now you don't need to go, just this sealed cover concept you need to understand that it is going on into the news. Okay, fine. Now coming to the mains practice question for the today. So the mains practice question, it reads, for the developing world, the coal question always takes away prime time in climate conferences. However, coal phase down is not the way out to reduce the global emissions. In this context, discuss how we need to focus on building climate resilient infrastructure. Okay, so guys, deliberately on a purpose, today's question is little bit difficult. It has a lot of implied part that is there. Okay, this is at the 10 marker question, and the question will be important for the GS paper number 3. So that is all guys about the mains practice question for today. So guys, with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, I hope that you have understood this entire video and you are able to get a utility out of it, and it is helping actually you in understanding and deciphering the current affairs. Okay, so that is all guys about it. I hope it's very clear, and now we'll be meeting tomorrow, that is on to the Saturday. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much. And guys, again I want to really thanks a lot for all the lovely comments that you are leaving on the channel. Okay, I personally read all those comments. It is a really good encouragement for me, and please keep on writing your lovely comments. And please, if you have liked, you can hit the like button, can subscribe to the channel if you have not done, and please share it with your friends. Thank you so much.